Good evening and welcome to Newswatch tonight. Coming up shortly is a conversation on the Social Health Authority, popularly known as SHA. Since the transition from NHIF to SHIF, many issues have emerged, with many saying that SHA is simply not working. We will be getting answers to some of the questions. Why, with Dr. Sultani Matendechero, who is the Senior Deputy Director in the Ministry of Health. We will also be looking to understand the government's push towards universal health coverage through SHA. Stay tuned for that. I'm Tess Njenga and our sign language interpreter is Boniface Mureithi. First, let us take a look at some of the day's news. The government has announced a reduction in university fees across all academic programs in public universities. In a directive issued by Higher Education Principal Secretary Dr. Tess Njenga, the new fee structure takes effect from September 1st. Dr. Njenga says the move follows extensive consultations with students, parents, and other stakeholders. She added that the decision is in line with the student-centered funding model introduced by President William Ruto's administration in May 2023. Vice-chancellors and principals of constituent colleges have been directed to implement the changes immediately.
The University Student Leaders Association, having discussed and had a consultative meeting on the pathway that we need to have as a nation, especially in the higher education. The University Student Leaders Association, it's a forum or an umbrella that puts together all the students in the Republic of Kenya with the interest of making education more equitable, fair, and progressive.
Have not received their help, and they need this help. For you to sit for an exam in a private institution, you have to have completed your school fee. And as student leaders, we are fighting for them to at least sit for these exams. But we need the government also to at least help us to make this process easier by disbanding these funds to these students. Please, please, please. Not everyone is rich. We need each and every one of us to be comfortable in their studies. So at least the government should intervene in this area, because it is really affecting many of these students in our institutions.
Requesting, it's a demand. We are students in this country, we are citizens of this country, and also we are the leaders of tomorrow. So we need these leaders to step up and do their work. And their work is making sure that if the students have been given the liberty by this country to go to school, let them be at par and make sure that all of us are getting equal measure of the same education by disbursing funds that are required by the students. Once again, the leaders of this country should do their work. We are not requesting, we are demanding, and it's our right.
Opposition leaders have castigated the government over the importation of illegal sugar and rice into the country. Addressing the media, DAPK party leader Eugene Wamalwa said that the sugar has been imported following the closing of sugar factories. His sentiments were echoed by Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka and People's Liberation Party leader Martha Karua. They vowed to continue to call out the government on every assault against Kenyans.
Any attempt to unlawfully take the life of a human being, regardless of ethnicity, gender, or rank, ought to be condemned in the strongest terms possible. We therefore expect IPOA to hold the commanding officer who led this assault accountable. The Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kanja, and Interior Cabinet Secretary, Kipchumba Murkomen.
If you look at the treaty establishing the East African Community, it's very clear when it comes again to freedom of movement of the professionals. So if we have a Kenyan attorney, a Kenyan advocate, or senior counsel like Mother going to represent a client in Dar es Salaam
Or
observe
tons and tons of imported sugar that we know you and your cronies have already imported. Following your closure of all state sugar factories in the western region, right from Zoya to Miwani to Muhoroni, is now very clear that there was a plot for you and your cronies to bring in this sugar.
Former presidential aspirant Reuben Kigame has filed a petition at the Milimani High Court seeking to privately prosecute top security and intelligence officials over alleged extrajudicial killings, abductions, and torture of protesters. Kigame, through lawyer Gitobu Imanyara, wants to take legal action against the Interior Cabinet Secretary, Inspector General of Police, Director of Public Prosecutions, Director of Criminal Investigations, and the Director General of the National Intelligence Service. He accuses them of failing to act on reports of human rights violations linked to protests since June 2024. The Attorney General is also listed as a respondent.
We'll be initiating a process to get permission of the High Court to institute a private prosecution. The purpose of this filing today, which was done very early this morning under petition number E475 of 2025, is to get permission of the High Court granting Mr. Dr. Kigame permission to institute this private prosecution that the relevant authorities have failed to do.
I stand here as a Christian leader who believes in biblical justice, and on behalf of all religious groups in Kenya, including Muslims and Hindus, who believe in justice. I also stand here on behalf of civil society groups and all law-abiding citizens and those who defend the rights of the marginalized and oppressed. We filed this case so that this matter can be escalated to the international community, and I hope that envoys receiving this, that international media, and all that are concerned with what has been happening in Kenya will escalate this so that the whole world knows that Kenya has become a police state that kills its citizens, abducts them, tortures them, and then charges the young people for terrorism.
The Social Health Authority, SHA, is at the center of Kenya's push towards universal health care. However, it has faced backlash in its implementation as access to services remains a challenge for many ordinary citizens. Tonight, we speak with Dr. Sultani Matendechero, who is the Senior Deputy Director, Ministry of Health, to help us unpack the challenges surrounding SHA. Let's take a short break and we'll be back with that conversation.
Rafiki soul is a promise of a hand that reaches and goes beyond what angaza tumaini kote. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. Rafiki soul is a promise of a hand that reaches
Friends of Hope, keeping hope alive.
You are Alpha and Omega.
Not only are we going to be offended, but believe it or not, we are going to offend somebody else. Whether directly or indirectly, sooner or later, we're going to hurt someone's feelings. We're going to do something that will disappoint someone. We will break someone's heart. We are humans. We are all weak. We all make mistakes.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. The Lord Almighty reigns.
It's the man's responsibility to initiate that. Even if his wife was wrong, but he responded by raising his voice, by saying things to her with the wrong attitude, he needs to go down and knock on that door and say to his wife, will you please forgive me?
Set the prisoner free. By his own great mercy we are set.
Good evening and welcome to our special interview tonight where we are hosting Dr. Sultani Matendechero, who is the Senior Deputy Director at the Ministry of Health. We are talking about SHA, also known as the Social Health Authority, which we just transitioned from about a year ago from NHIF. Karibu Daktari.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for making time for us.
Yeah.
So before we get into SHA and the teething problems that Kenyans are facing as they try to access healthcare at our hospitals, let's begin from the beginning. When we transitioned to SHA, politics aside, were we truly ready as a nation to transition? Were there gaps that were overlooked that are causing some of the issues that we are facing today?
Yeah, so let me start by just saying from what you've asked, I think the direct answer is yes, we were ready. And the reason I say that is that judging by some of the hiccups that characterize transitioning into a new way of doing things, then definitely we have to expect some hiccups. We have to expect some adjustments. Some of them which even affect the very services that we want to roll out. And so, yes, there is never a perfect time. Even if we waited for the rest of our lives, there would never be a perfect time where transitioning would just be completely smooth 100%. So, yes, I think even if you ask me, probably we started a bit late. Yeah.
To tie up with that before we move on, a lot of salaried individuals feel exploited in terms of we got a higher cut in terms of contributing to our social health authority, of which many feel like they're not getting value for their money. How would you address that?
Yeah, so I understand what, those sentiments that are coming out of the salaried individuals. One, because there is a comparative difference. Before we moved to the SHA approach or the social health insurance approach, these same salaried individuals were already contributing to the National Health Insurance Fund, the NHIF, which is now defunct. So one of the things that is immediately happened is that we started comparing what we were paying to NHIF vis-a-vis what we are now paying to SHIF, that is the Social Health Insurance Fund. And for someone like me, the difference was really big because I was paying 1,700, but now I am paying close to 15,000. So you see, that's a very, very significant change. And given that it is happening all at once, then it tends to give the impression that it is a very big burden on a specific type of people. However, the other thing that we have to note is that even those who are not salaried, now under the SHA arrangement, will also have to pay a commensurate amount. The reason why this amount is going up from 1,700 to say 15,000, and for some people actually it is way higher, is because we are now moving away from a fixed kind of premium, so that we were saying for people who are earning between this amount and this amount, you will pay a certain premium. For those who are above a certain amount, you'll pay 1,700. So that was the highest. Okay? But now we are saying that we want the premiums that are being paid to reflect the income of this individual, and not just the individual, but the total income of the household. So we moved from a fixed amount to a proportion of the income, not even just the salary, but a proportion of the gross income of the household. And that proportion is 2.75%. So that one now ensures that those who are earning less contribute less, and those who are earning more contribute more, because now it is not just a national health insurance fund, but it is a social health insurance fund where we contribute, all of us contribute, and at one point I pay for you, you pay for me, but the most important thing is that everybody is contributing and we are able to take care of all our health needs. So initially it looks like there is exploitation of certain individuals, but at the end of the day, it is a much more efficient way of ensuring that everybody is being charged equitably towards the kitty. And on the other hand, take for example, those who are earning less, say 10,000. Let's just use that as an example per month. They were paying 500 under NHIF. That was the minimum monthly contribution. So when you calculate that, 10,000, 500 by 10,000, it was coming to something like 5% of their earnings. You see? So that is a very big percentage compared to this one who, if you are earning, say, 450 or 500,000, let us put it at a better, something that can be calculated a bit more easily. If you are earning, say, 500,000 and you're paying, okay, let's put it at, say, 340,000. 340,000 and you're paying 1,700, then you'll find that it brings it to about 0.5% of your earning. In fact, it's 0.05. I don't know, maybe we can calculate it a bit better. But if you calculate 1,700 over 340,000, which is now a bit less than what most of us are earning, then you'll find that it gives you 340,000, say about 0.05%. So imagine this one who's earning 10,000 is contributing 5%, a whooping 5% of their salary, while you who is earning more is contributing much less, and yet, this is the person who requires the service even more. So what we are saying is that we are spreading out the amount so that it is equitably contributed.
Okay.
Yes.
Sounds good. The challenge that has been on the ground is that the contributions have been made from salaried individuals and even other people who are in businesses and other ventures. But the challenge is that even that person who is not employed, there are many reports of people who have gone to hospitals and they are not accessing even primary health care. So the challenge is that there is more money now. Why is SHA seemingly not working?
Okay, so the issue of SHA working or not working is a very important discourse that has been misunderstood. Because remember, the whole principle is that everybody should contribute, so that even the one who earns very little should contribute something. Although we got to a point where, the plan generally took into consideration the fact that there are those who are earning very little. So for these ones, we don't want to now again subject them. So the government took up that responsibility of paying for them. So that now you'll find the minimum premium that is being paid under SHA is 300. So it has gone a bit lower, but then it is, if you are earning something that gives you 2.75% of your salary is less than 300, then the government pays for you. There are those who don't earn anything at all. So the government will pay for them. So those who are earning less than that amount, plus those who don't earn anything at all, the government pays for them. So these ones we call them indigents because they are not able to afford. Okay? Now, the principle is whether you are supposed to pay 300 or to pay 30,000, then all of you must pay. Because the way it has been worked out is such that when everybody pays their share, then we have enough money to be able to take care of everyone. Unfortunately, we have now seen a situation where people are a bit resistant so that they are not paying their fair share. How do we arrive at this fair share? There is something that is called a means testing tool, which is administered on everybody before the amount that is payable is determined. So when you administer the means testing tool on yourself, it is a set of questions, trying to assess and see, do you have a motor vehicle? Do you have a house? What kind of house is it? Do you have animals? So it tends to estimate how much you're supposed to pay every month. So when everybody is allocated the amount, then everybody is supposed to pay. But unfortunately, we have seen a situation where people are a bit resistant to pay.
Why do you think people are a bit resistant?
Because of they are used to a situation where they don't pay. In the past with the NHIF, a very big segment of the population was left out. They were not paying. So now starting to pay becomes a bit difficult. Some of them were paying 500 because of the brackets, or even 1,700 like ourselves. Now they are, after being subjected to the means testing tool, they realize that they are supposed to pay 1,600 and they were paying 500. So they become a bit resistant to pay. But what we are not understanding is that now this new arrangement, when it is done properly, should assure you of universal coverage so that whatever your condition, then you can walk into a facility and get treated. Now, you asked something that is very pertinent that I would just want to quickly run through. We were so used to the NHIF, which was just one fund, which was being collected from premiums, especially of salaried people. But SHA has 3 funds, 3 of them. So one is the primary healthcare fund, okay? Another one is now the social health insurance fund, which everybody is looking at because it is now the replica of NHIF, which is paid by premiums. The third one is called emergency, chronic and critical illness fund. So that even if somebody is moving somewhere around the city and then they are hit by a car and it's an emergency, they can be taken into the hospital. Even if they don't have their credentials on them, the hospital can already start giving services because this is a constitutional requirement. Emergency care is supposed to be given to everyone. So these 2 funds, the primary healthcare fund and the emergency, chronic and critical illness fund, those ones are not premium based. Those ones are appropriated for by the exchequer in parliament as part of the usual budget. So the budget allocation for primary healthcare fund is from exchequer. The budget allocation for ECCIF, the emergency, chronic and critical illness fund, is from exchequer. But the budget for the social health insurance fund is from individual contributions.
So how come, since we already have allocations from the government, that there are a lot of cases of people going to hospitals and they are not able to access primary care?
So that's what I was coming to. So now, last year, when we were doing our budget in June, You remember there was a lot of disquiet about the finance bill.
Yes.
In fact, it was withdrawn. So the government was not able to implement the finance bill. And yet the finance bill was the instrument that was supposed to be used by government to now raise the resources that would go into the various budget items. Now, when the finance bill collapsed, some of the hardest hit areas were new areas like the Primary Healthcare Fund and the ECCIF. But then, as a government, you cannot say just because the finance bill has failed, then we are not going to provide services. So what happened? Because we had already started rolling out SHA, a lot of patchwork was done to try and allocate some resources to these critical funds. And so, because of that and the transitional factors, it became a little bit difficult to implement, the way it was planned. But this year, in the finance bill and the budget that has been read, there is an allocation that has been given to those two funds. Already, from the money that has been raised from SHIF and maybe other monies that have been allocated, we have been able to run quite a bit of these two funds. A little bit of it with a lot of hiccups. So we are expecting that this year, with the allocations that have been given, because for the chronic and critical illness fund, already we have received about 13 billion, and there is quite a bit that has also been received for the primary healthcare fund. So we are expecting to see much better service being given without the difficulties that we saw in the previous year.
Okay, I had the Health Cabinet Secretary talking about people will be able to go to a hospital and just walk in and walk out. How
Absolutely.
practical is that?
Very practical. That is how it is supposed to.
When should we expect this to start?
As we continue rolling out the whole strategy, now with funding coming in, because this year I think there is a lot that has been done to try and educate the public about the finance bill and so on. So we are hoping that all these will be implemented. Now, with money coming into these funds, then there is going to be, now it will be possible to capitate the hospitals. Okay? So the hospitals, depending on how many people are within your catchment area, each person is entitled to, the hospital is entitled to a certain amount of money. And these primary healthcare facilities, remember, are the level 2 and level 3 facilities. Okay? These are the dispensaries and health centers. So these ones now are eligible for primary healthcare fund. So for everybody within your catchment area, the ones who are registered for SHA, you are given a certain amount of money, about 900 bob. Now when you put it together, it's a lot of money for that facility. That facility will be able to provide for the services, because not everybody will come for services, but they will have a pool of money where people can come in for primary healthcare services, and believe you me, they'll be able to walk in, get treated, walk out without paying anything. That is how the primary healthcare fund is designed. Now, one of the reasons we are doing this is because we have also gotten, data has shown us that for every shilling you invest in primary healthcare, especially in disease prevention and health promotion, you save upwards of 9 shillings that would have gone into treatment, rehabilitation, and palliative care. Now, when you look at our healthcare system today, you'll realize that it is very heavy on those 3 things: treatment, palliative care, and rehabilitative care. So we are saying that for the amount of money that is being used now, we are actually having the possibility of saving up to 90% of what we are using by investing in the primary healthcare. And that is going to have a very big bearing on our healthcare system in general, because fewer people will go to hospitals. Remember, at the health centers and dispensaries, we are catching the diseases early. We are using the community health promoters to ensure that people don't fall sick in the communities. So the few people who are coming to hospital, now the budget that we are allocating to healthcare will be more than enough to be able to give them very high quality treatment. And that's why you see that this fund is very important. And just as the cabinet secretary said, actually the amount is enough. Because if everybody is going to register for SHA, then you'll find that every year the allocation will be in the region of about 48 to 50 billion towards primary healthcare fund, because everybody is registered. So that is a lot of money. You don't need any more money. People will just walk into the facility, get treated, and walk out.
Talking of a lot of money, it triggers allegations that were raised earlier this year that there was a good amount of money that was lost under the new SHA, the new SHIF or SHA, as you please. And what measures have been put in place to make sure that there are no financial malpractices? Because as you're saying, we are going to have a lot of money being channeled into that area. And if it's going to be looted after Kenyans have been given a raise in terms of allocations and contributions, then that means we will not be able to achieve the goals that the Social Health Authority desires to achieve. So what are the measures that have been put in place to make sure that this money is not being looted as we have seen in the past?
Okay. So thank you very much. And I'm happy that you are putting it just as it is. Allegations that money has been lost. And there are lots of allegations. I think we have gotten into a very bad place recently.
Though when we see allegations,
where public health has been politicized. I think now the politicians have identified public health as a very sensitive area where they can be able to do their politics. And one of the things that we keep on saying as public health experts is that is to plead with our politicians and other people to just keep off public health, because when we politicize it, it is the masses that suffer. Now, back to the issue that you have raised. It was anticipated that the amount of resources that will be raised under the new arrangement are quite substantial. And just as a way of ensuring that we don't get into a situation where these resources are being misappropriated, we actually came up with 4 main pillars for UHC. So one of them is healthcare financing, where this SHA arrangement is playing a very big role to raise resources towards healthcare. But another one is around what we call health management information systems and digitization. Okay? So that the data that is being collected in the health system is used to plan and to make decisions. But at the same time, to make that even more efficient, there is digitization, where we are coming up with a superhighway that is going to connect all the information within the health sector, including even patient information, will be securely onboarded onto the superhighway. So I know you have heard of a lot of complaints being raised some time back about a certain amount of money, 104 billion to be precise, towards digitization. And to come up with a foolproof digital system which is secure, so that your information as a patient which is getting into that system remains secure, and you will not start seeing it in social media that Teresia has this disease and so on. Then it has to be a very, a system that is very high quality, and that is expensive. So we have put a lot of money through partnerships into a digital superhighway that is now going to make it impossible for even these resources to be misappropriated.
Impossible, you say?
Absolutely. How do you do? Because when you digitize, if you try to steal it, it's just seen. Because it is an end-to-end system, you know?
But the systems have been hacked.
Yeah, of course, we cannot rule out those, but we are expecting that what can be done has been done, and we have secured the resources over and above being able to provide a platform that is going to bring in many other benefits of digitization. So that digitization alone, yeah? And I'm happy that you've brought this up. That digitization alone is really going to make sure that the resources are safe. And this is one of the reasons why we had to move from NHIF to SHA. Because under NHIF, we were able to see a lot of loopholes that were just being utilized to plunder the resources that were being collected. And we realized that when we look at what is being spent under NHIF vis-a-vis what is being collected, it was not sustainable. You know, much more was being spent and not even getting to what it is supposed to do vis-a-vis what is being collected. But now, under this SHA system, we will be able to collect as much as we need, probably even more than what we need to be able to spend. And that way, we will either have the opportunity to improve on the quality of care, or we will even have the opportunity of reviewing the contributions downwards. Because as we continue, then we will realize that probably we need to review downwards, give a little bit of relief to the contributors, but give the same quality of care that they have been enjoying.
On the same breath, senators have castigated what they are terming as a full year contribution that has to be made for someone to be able to access health care. They are calling it punitive. That contribution rule, they're almost saying that it is unconstitutional.
Yes.
What is the basis for which the ministry is using to install this kind of contribution system for a full year?
The punitive contribution system.
Yes.
Okay, so again, that is one of the issues that we really need to unpack. Because remember, I told you that after we have determined the amount that each one person needs to pay, then it is very important that everybody consistently contributes that amount without fail. Because the moment anyone stops contributing, then the system starts breaking down. And then we start seeing the challenges that we were talking about.
So what about someone who cannot be able to?
That we were talking about. So, to try and avoid this, we need to have some assurance. For example, if I am salaried and I am giving monthly contributions which are being deducted directly by my employer, then there is some assurance that this money will keep coming. But if I am a business person with a small business who has to proactively give my monthly contribution, and this is data that we have already seen, there is a lot of defaulting that happens. So people tend to not pay. What you will see is when they now need the service, they will come and then they are told SHA is not active. So they say, okay, let me go and pay, so that now they say, actually the words have been, they come to the hospital and they say, when I reached the hospital, SHA was not working. But then we went to pay so that SHA can work. So you see, for the months that you have not been paying, because you have not been sick, you have catastrophically affected the system. So to assure that we are going to get those payments consistently without break, then we say, don't just pay every month, pay annually. You see? So that you now ensure that within those 12 months, even if you fall sick or you don't fall sick, then you are going to make your contribution. So a lot of Kenyans and people came up and said, no, this is punitive. It's very difficult. You know, the amount is so much. We cannot be able to afford and everything. And that one was hard. So what did the government do? They actually said, because we have allocated quite a bit of money to the Hustler Fund. There's quite a bit of money in the Hustler Fund. Why don't we, and probably people are not borrowing it as much as it was expected. Why don't we leverage this money so that we can now cushion the ones who cannot afford to give annually? And the president himself actually now launched what we are calling Lipa Sha Pole Pole, or Lipa Mdogo Mdogo. That is what it is called.
Yeah.
Now, the principle behind this, which is being politicized, and remember I said, we really plead with the politicians to keep off issues public health, because what is being said out there is not what is happening. What is happening is that when somebody comes to the Hustler Fund to take money to pay for the whole year, it is just to enable them to now go back to their businesses. They can even pay daily, they can pay every week. So you are given enough money to pay for your annual premiums, but then you pay at your own pace, you pay back to the Hustler Fund.
So you, in short, you take a loan to
it
pay
is not a loan. It is not a loan.
What
you
would
see,
you call it?
see, those are now the misinformation that are being peddled, and then people start saying it's a bad thing. And yet it is something that you can never get anywhere else. Because if your premiums for the year, say, are 10,000, or you're supposed to pay 300 every month, and you are not able to do for the whole year, it means that you'll now pay 3,600 for the year. So you go to Hustler Fund, you take 3,600, you go and pay to SHA. At the end of the year, whether you'll be paying 300 per month, or you'll be paying 30 shillings per day, or whatever it is, you will pay back 3,600 with no interest on top. You just take back what you took. So is that a loan? I don't know. Maybe if it is a loan, then without interest.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So what is being said out there is that people are being forced to take loans in Hustler Fund so that they pay back with interest. And you see, that is not true. And that is why it is very important for us to be able to have this kind of conversations so that the wananchi out there can know. Because when the politicians go out and start saying that now we are taking loans and paying interest, the wananchi don't come. They don't benefit from the service that has been given to them.
There's also a challenge I had the Cabinet Secretary speaking about. If you default on paying perhaps a daily, a weekly, or a monthly payment, then it comes back with an interest on the next time that you pay. If it was supposed to be 10 shillings, you'll pay 20. That is yesterday when he was speaking in Nakuru. So how does that work?
Actually, what happens is that you pay at your own pace. So if you take 3,600, nobody will stop you from paying it the next day. You know?
No, this is
you
not
don't have
separate from the hustler. This is Lipa Pole Pole.
But it is tied together. The Lipa Sha Pole Pole is tied to Hustler Fund.
Okay.
Yeah, so the money comes from the Hustler Fund because there is a pool of money in Hustler Fund, which is available to be used for Lipa Sha Pole Pole. Yeah? So if you now go to Hustler Fund, they will give you the money. Then you will pay to SHA. So for the whole year, you will enjoy services from SHA because according to them, you've paid. The people you will have a problem with are Hustler because within that year, you have to make sure that you have paid back the money so that if next year you need more money, then they'll be able to give it to you. But if you default within that period, then you will have to pay with interest. You see? But within that year period where you have taken the money, you will just be required to pay the same. You can even wait up to the end of the year. And the last day you pay 3,600. For as long as you have paid it within that period, that is okay.
Okay, as we wind up, someone is still not convinced about registering for SHA. Perhaps tell us why should we register as SHA? Why should we trust SHA considering the challenges that are happening in terms of access to healthcare in our hospitals, and we are not yet guaranteed of any tangible measures that have been made so that as long as you have paid, you will get those services?
Yeah, so I think what is important is that we really have to be positive in the way we are looking at this whole issue of SHA. Number one, the world over, healthcare is very expensive. The fact that governments in the global south and partners have been subsidizing, bringing donations and so on to make it look like it is a bit affordable, we should not be lost in thinking that healthcare is cheap. It is very expensive. And you can see what is happening in the global scene. Some of the donors are actually now backing off. They are saying that we are not going to continue giving you resources. So, in the fullness of time, we are going to appreciate the expensive nature of healthcare. Now, even in the global north where such arrangements are not there, people cannot afford, even the rich people cannot afford healthcare. So it is extremely important that we have a social health insurance fund that works for everybody. And that's why we have to make sure work now, because if we contribute religiously and all the health facilities also get into contracts, then it will work perfectly well. But then everybody has to contribute. But if it doesn't work, then we will get into a place where if somebody falls sick Actually, people usually say you are just one sickness away from poverty. You can auction your whole homestead, your relatives, everybody, so that you can treat diseases. So that we don't get there. And because the government is committed within the context of universal health coverage, then it would be good for us to just allow the general population to register for SHA so that everybody can be protected within that context of insurance.
Thank you, Dr. Ari. As you give us your parting shots, I cannot forget that the Social Health Authority cannot work without health workers.
Yeah.
And a lot of UHC workers have been out in the streets threatening to go on strike. KMPDU saying that they need to be employed, pensionable, permanent and pensionable. What are some of the measures the ministry is putting in place? When are these people getting absorbed so that our hospitals can actually be stable to be able to implement this SHA?
Yeah, so those are the conversations that are going on. And you also have to realize that, we need to also appreciate the genesis of this whole UHC staff issue. Number one, the country has been trying to implement UHC for a very long time. So this UHC staff actually came on board almost 5 years ago. And that was just to help us pilot and see if UHC can work. Okay? So they came on board within the framework of a contract, a 3-year contract, just to help in the pilots and so on. But there was also a rider that because these people are offering services, whenever an opportunity arises and we need to hire somebody into permanent and pensionable basis from the contract, because they were earning less than the permanent employees. So we give first priority to these UHC workers, health workers. Now, unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, because in this context it's unfortunate, with the devolution that happened after the Constitution, most of this hiring is the responsibility of the county governments. However, the UHC staff were contracted at the expense of the national government, with the understanding that the counties, when the opportunities come, will take them up. So this did not happen. And I don't want to speculate, but some people have said that the counties felt like if you now take up, if you absorb the UHC staff, then you will be losing a slot of someone who can work for you. Because the national government will now stop paying this person on your behalf. So what they do is when the slot comes up, they go and hire somebody different and maintain this UHC staff under the same terms. So that was one of the problems, because at the end of 3 years, out of the 8,500 or so UHC staff, only a handful had been absorbed. And yet, so many people had been employed by the counties.
Unfortunately, our time is up, Daktari.
Yeah.
And perhaps we will have more time, some other time to speak on this.
Yes.
And we do hope that the UHC staff will actually be absorbed so that we can actually have a stable health system in the country. But thank you so much for making time for us. That is our time. Thank you for watching. We have been with Dr. Sultani Matendechero, who is the Senior Deputy Director at the Ministry of Health.
Hope TV is where you look and live, with an excellent selection of the best Christian programming consisting of local and international content of inspirational stories, talk shows, Bible commentary, youth, health shows, children entertainment, contemporary gospel music, extended times of worship, live broadcast, news, movies, drama, Christian ministry programs, and so much more. Hope TV is another quality service from Christ is the Answer Ministries, with over 45% of authentic and credible local content every week. Hope TV is a sister station to Hope FM, Kenya's leading Christian radio station, with footprints across the country. Tune in to Hope TV, where you look and live.
Rafiki soul is the promise of a hand that reaches and goes beyond watangaza tumaini kote. I'm forever grateful, ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. I'm forever grateful, ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. Rafiki soul is a promise of a hand that reaches and goes beyond watangaza tumaini kote. I'm forever grateful, ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. I'm forever grateful, ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. Rafiki msoul.
Friends of Hope, keeping hope alive.
Welcome back. In business, the Intergovernmental Authority on Development IGAD convened a regional forum aimed at aligning efforts across member states to strengthen food systems and ensure long-term food security across the region. The forum in Nairobi brought together member states to chart a collective path towards inclusive, climate-resilient and nutrition-sensitive food systems.
All countries committed to be providing 10% of the national budgets, but not any single country in Africa, no single country in the IGAD region has attained this. So this is a wake-up call that members of parliament, we need to up our tasks, we need to lobby colleagues, we need to influence the sub-region to be looking at addressing the challenges that are affecting.
With the efforts that we are making, the multi-sectoral approach, a food systems approach requires that you use very many diverse ways of addressing a particular situation. And why we love leveraging on the CADA process is it is covering everything. For example, we have one area that speaks to the marginalized communities. These are like the small-scale farmers, which covers the pastoralists, it covers the women, it covers the youth. Actually, this week we were able to even speak about how do we cover the woman who has the restraint of lack of food, lack of water, which is a basic resource, but also issues around land ownership. All these are issues addressed by the strategy.
Absa Bank Kenya has made a major financial commitment to support affordable housing in the country, setting aside 4 billion shillings to help bridge the growing housing gap. The announcement was made during a high-level conference in Nairobi, bringing together key stakeholders in the real estate and finance sectors. Our reporter Vivian Kerubo has more details.
At the initial International Housing Solutions IHS conference held in Nairobi today, Absa Bank announced it has allocated 4 billion shillings for onward lending to the retail segment aimed at addressing the country's soaring demand for affordable housing. The moves comes at a critical time with Kenya's housing deficit now exceeding 2 million units and rising by more than 200,000 homes annually.
I think what we're looking to do is actually build relationships. Build a relationship with a mortgage taker to say, what is it that you require? What assistance do you actually need from the bank to help you secure that home? Whether it's through bulk offtakes through institutional buyers or whether it's through retail individuals, we are working with them to see whether they require, again, like I said, longer tenors, reduced interest rates, things like that. I feel like there's a lot of opportunity across the real estate ecosystem, right? So, I mean, mortgages is critical to affordable housing, yes, but we're looking at so many other different asset classes that are also consuming time. Is it a priority in the retail space? That I can say, but like I said, I look after more on the commercial corporate side.
The event brought together influential voices in housing, policy and finance to explore sustainable solutions for urban housing. Absa Bank emphasized its expanded role not just as a financier, but also as a strategic partner and advocate in reshaping house access across the region.
Well, I think financiers such as Absa are doing a really good job. If you look across the market, there's a lot of banks now that are quite focused on the mortgage product, being able to come in from buyers even at the offtake level, get them signed up, give them their offer letters and have them ready for when the unit comes into the market. Again, products such as KMRC play such a huge role in this. It's really spurred mortgage growth. I think more than 5,000 mortgages, probably the fastest mortgage growth that we've seen over the last decade. All because of initiatives such as this. And this, again, is primarily being driven by the banking sector. There are other initiatives that need to come into place. We need to see a deepening of our capital markets. There need to be initiatives such as tenant purchase schemes.
As the government continues to implement its affordable housing program, Absa is positioning itself to support large-scale development through the broader capabilities of its Pan-African group. From commercial and retail spaces to green infrastructure and smart housing solutions, the bank is aligning its efforts with sustainable urban development goals in Kenya and beyond. Reporting for Newswatch, Vivian Kirubu.
Much appreciated, Vivian, for that report. Now, in a strategic move towards enhancing sustainable operations, SGA Security Kenya has partnered with Electric Transit Africa to introduce electric vehicles to its security arm response fleet. The newly acquired electric vehicles will support SGA's rapid alarm response services while contributing to a measurable reduction in the company's carbon emissions, underscoring SGA's commitment to its sustainability agenda, aligning operational excellence with environmental responsibility.
At this moment, still have relatively clean air. Although in Nairobi, if you go in one of the skyscrapers and look down, you see this yellow-brown cloud of pollution of the city. It's coming. But still, we're not so bad. However, if we continue with the current growth of petrol and diesel vehicles, in 5 years or 10 years from now, we can be at the same level as some of the big cities we all know that are very polluted. In Brazil or in Asia or in India. Even I think we can avoid that.
Today's launch is more than just an upgrade of our vehicles. It is actually a milestone in our sustainability journey. And it is in line with our three ESG pillars. That is environmental responsibility, where we are actually moving at directly reducing our carbon footprints, and in line with our service delivery, where we are using smarter, cleaner, more energy efficient vehicles, and with us taking leadership in the security industry. I'm very proud that no other company can stand before you and say that they did this first. We did it first.
Harambee Stars head coach Benny McCarthy has acknowledged the tough challenge that lies ahead in their opening match against two-time champions, the Democratic Republic of Congo men's football team, set for Sunday. McCarthy emphasized that the team is determined to make a strong statement at the start of the tournament.
I think it's a good feeling, first of all, because I think for the last 3 to 2 years we've been playing our home games away. So now playing back home with the fans, I think it's going to motivate us, and I'm sure we're going to perform. So again, we just want to tell all the Kenyans to come and support us, because on Sunday we're going to perform and we're going to do our best, and of course we're going to do everything to make sure that the trophy stays in Kenya.
We'll make it our quest to have one of our best matches of the tournament
come Sunday, because it just sets you up nice, because like I said, we are in the group of death. So if you get a good result against DRC, who's won this tournament twice, so they know what it's about, so it will just give us a little bit more breathing room for Angola and Morocco and Zambia to come.
The third leg of the Sunshine Development Tour East Africa swing is set to tee off next week at the Nyali Golf and Country Club in Mombasa, with a strong field of 87 golfers confirmed for the tournament. The 54-hole competition, which is scheduled for August 4th to 6th, 2025, has drawn players from across the continent.
Just flew the green. I mean, then I had my up and down. Fortunately, I got away with a 6. Was number 2. I didn't give in. I took my driver, hit it nicely. I had a perfect second shot on the green. Give it a chance, and unfortunately, it didn't drop. Now heading to hole number 3. I think that's when I got really, just kind of pissed off. Without even thinking, I just took my 7-iron, flashed it, and it just came out to a pull. It just got the edge of the fairway and just flew again over the green. I mean, I had an up and down, and I got away with a double there.
Mchezo umekuwa mzuri. Leo nimecheza golf mzuri kwa sababu sikuwa na pressure yote, kwa sababu juu niliona kijana akianza kupata double bogey hapo namba 1. Nikapata pa, nikapata badi na akakula pa. Nikasema huyu namba 3 bila nilimuona akipiga double bogey, nikasema huyu nimemwacha. Hana bila atanishika. Sasa nikasema waje niendelee. Nikacheza mzuri paka namba 9, nikachukua 3 under first 9. Second ndio nika miss birdie number 10. Sasa nikaniletea shida kidogo. Na hiyo 5 shot sio rahisi kushika. Unajua yeye ni mchezaji. Sio bila kucheza 9 under kwa siku mbili sio mchezaji mdogo huyo. Yeye ni mchezaji hatari. Sasa nika
And it's a wrap on Newswatch tonight. On behalf of the whole crew that has made this bulletin a success, thank you for watching. I'm Tess Njenga, and our sign language interpreter is Boniface Muredi. See you tomorrow night, same time and place, God willing. Have a good night.